Hey guys, welcome back to the D&Y Podcast. I'm your host, Yassin, and today I have my co host with me, Dimitri. How have you been, man? How's everything?
Been very good, thank you. Good to be with you on the podcast again.
Same here.
Now digitally, and we're a few miles more or a few kilometers more apart than we were last time we recorded. Last time it
Yeah.
was only 1 or 2 meters. Now it's a few thousand kilometers. You're in Egypt right now, and I'm still in Switzerland. How's it going in Egypt, and how's the weather and the time there?
It's a change for sure. I mean, Egypt is kind of opposite to Switzerland in quite a few things, although Switzerland has been giving us hot weather when I was there too, but Egypt is definitely hotter and I think that's what influences some of the differences where I feel like people are like Batman. They live at night compared to Switzerland most of the time, you know. So I think that was a big difference, and it kind of, you know, I always have this when I'm in Switzerland. I miss Egypt more. When I'm in Egypt, I miss Switzerland more, and it's kind of an interesting feeling, and really goes to show you that it's always important to be grateful for the moment you're in because one minute you're complaining about it, but then you're missing it, and just goes to show the nature of humans, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. We always want what we don't have, and especially when you're away from home, you feel like because our brain likes to remind us of the good things or the good memories with that specific place, and then you forget about the things that annoy you. And since we're also it's the nature, we're also quite negative sometimes. It's what happens, right? But as you said, it's important to be grateful and
Yeah,
to appreciate all the things we have.
very true. Um, I'll I'll get us started on the wisdom nugget because I think it's a interesting one. It kind of relates to the message I got today. But one thing I got from that message that we'll probably break down a little bit later, but it was this person I know who's a mentor, kind of you could say of mine. He's been in the game of business longer, and he's much older than both you and I. He told me that one thing. I was asking him a question and about am I maybe like, I don't know if I'm undercharged or just complaining to him about something, and he was telling me I I get your point of view, and many young people definitely see that, and maybe it's true. I don't know your situation, but one thing I would always advise you to think about is how can you make yourself irreplaceable, someone. He told me in his work, he always thought, how can I be the person that's irreplaceable? That the people always need me. It's very hard to get rid of me, and because I bring so much value, or unique value too. And he was like, same thing in business, and that's something I always advise you to think of, because too many people your age, they just focus on, am I undercharging or whatever, but or copy or what they're doing, but they don't focus on how can I become so valuable that not just today, but in 5 years, 6 years, I'm pretty unique and hard to replace? And that is an interesting point of view that I'm still thinking about and trying to ask myself what makes me unique, because there's definitely some things that make us all irreplaceable. And I think one thing, you're a good example of that with one of your clients where you know how to speak French, English, and German, so you're able to offer that to some of your clients. That's still a unique thing that not many people can do. That makes you pretty damn hard to replace.
Yeah, it's a very good one. And you think, and I'm guilty of this myself as well, or I've been guilty of this many times, where I was just trying to up the prices and increase them and charge more. But at the end of the day, it's much more important to understand your value and to improve your value. I
Yeah,
mean, always think of or try to think of ways you can improve your client's business in whatever way,
Yeah.
and how you can help them do X, Y, or whatever. Before you even think about how to charge them or how to charge them or whatever, try to think of a way you can be even more valuable to your client. Either it's taking on more work, more responsibility for that specific client because you feel like you could do this and that you aren't doing at the moment, or it is by somehow improving the thing you're doing right now, whether it's copywriting or video editing, improve that specific skill in order to make yourself more valuable to the client with the work you're doing. And at the
Yeah.
end of the day, every client just wants results. Every client just wants to see the money coming in. They're spending money on you. They want more money coming in from working with you than before, and they want to pay less for you than it's coming in. It's
Yeah.
as simple as that. You can break it down. So I think the wisdom nugget you just presented is just a wonderful example, and I think you said it very well.
Yeah, man, for sure. And what about you? What about your week, your wisdom nugget, all that
So
stuff?
my wisdom nugget this week, and it's more about it's not so much about business, but more about health and working out. I've started in the past few days to just do some push-ups every day, and we talked about this 2 days ago on a call we had, and I said, look, I want to do 40 push-ups every day and just split it out throughout the day, and that has been working very well since you can just at 9 or at 8 or whenever you want, you can just do 10, and then you do 10 there, and 2 hours later you do 10. It just literally takes not even a minute to do it. You can do it anywhere,
Yeah.
and it's good for your body, it's good for your health. And yeah, I want to increase that to more, but starting with 40 and splitting it out throughout the day has been just working wonderfully. On top of, you know, maybe I go walking or I play paddle as well,
Yeah.
but just on top of that. And that has been working quite well. So to split up some of those tasks, if there's something you don't like doing, or because 40 or even 50 or 60 push-ups or even 100 push-ups, it might seem a lot when you see that number, but when you split it out throughout the day into more chunks, it seems like a lot less. And the same thing with goals. You can split them up into smaller goals. Same thing with tasks. You can split them up into smaller tasks, and then it doesn't seem like a lot if you split it out like that.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. And I think one thing that you did good, Dimitri, is because health is something we often talked about a lot and it was a bit inconsistent for you. But I think what you did good is you understood and found something that is very hard for you to say no to. You know, like it's push-ups, you can do them anywhere. They're literally 20. If you start with 20 or 40, it's not that much as if you told yourself, I'm going to do a whole 1 hour workout, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's pretty good. Plus, also, I think working out is good and all, but not everyone necessarily has to be a bodybuilder. If you want, you just have to do what is necessary to take care of yourself so that you keep being at the best level possible.
That's true, yeah. And I don't want to be a bodybuilder. Necessarily don't want to look look that extreme. But again, it's an extreme, and to have a healthy body doesn't mean you have to be a bodybuilder, as you said. But it's important to. I mean, I want to look good, and I want to have a healthy body, and not be fat and overweight, or even very thin and not sporty at all. So I think that is very important.
Yeah,
But we
yeah,
can
well,
jump to the message if you want to, and have
yeah,
that more
sure.
detail of what you spoiled on already with your wisdom nugget.
So, we could talk about it for sure. There's a few things in that message that I got. We won't, I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to follow up with all of them, but we can start with whatever we feel fits and go from there. So, the first thing that this mentor told me is you can charge as much that money as the value you bring to people. Like when he started his coaching thing, he charged 3K a month because he actually made them money. So why would they leave him? And he told me something that's very true. He was like, many agencies come to him and they're like, oh, this client left us even though we're making him viral. He was like, yeah, but did you make him money? Show me what the videos you made. And the videos they made were just cars crashing into each other and not bringing him the right audience. It's not just enough to make a person go viral, you have to bring him the right audience, but also he told me another thing. He was like, why would people fire you? Because there's no business owners that would fire you if you make them more money or just make them in general consistent money, right? So that's what he was telling me. He was telling me, don't think you're undercharging. Think about what skills you're developing that will make you irreplaceable in 2 to 5 years and what value you're bringing to them. Because at the end of the day, yes, virality and whatever could be an indicator, but what's more important to them is the money. And everyone is chasing virality, but you have to keep offering that. But you have to understand that followers, that's what he told me, do not equal money. Views does not equal money. It's what happens with those, and they have to be the right people, the right market for that to happen.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. And yeah, that's why views don't necessarily equal success for the client. And at the end of the day, it's always best to have a metric of how you can control how many money actually flows into the customer or into your customer's account. And it's not always easy to have that metric specifically. That's why you can work with views, but views not everything. You can work with interactions as well, likes, comments,
So,
shares, those type of things, and then conversion rates as well with links, those type of things, or with links you have on TikTok, for example, in the bio, or with ads, you have the conversion rate of the ad itself. With YouTube, you maybe have links in the description where you have conversion rates. All of those things then add up to make it more trackable and to have or for you to better understand the value you bring. But to charge a fantasy price on something that you're not actually bringing value onto your client is, yeah, is not good. And but one thing, and I don't know if that mentor mentioned that to you, but I think one aspect you can also look at is with saving time, which is also quite easily measurable. When you take a task off of your client, for example, and he can then spend that time that he saved there, let's say, for instance, 4 hours a week, that he can spend doing something else that brings him more money. I mean,
that's value. Yeah.
that's value as well. So
Yeah.
you didn't necessarily directly bring or brought in money, or you didn't necessarily make it better than him. Obviously, it's best if you take on a task that you you're able to deliver it better than if he would have done it. But if you saved him time and then he can use that time that he saved for you to do something else that makes him money, in a sense, you helped him as well and you brought him value as well.
Yeah, and that's why I was trying to mention, because it kind of links to being indispensable in a way. Um, he was telling me when he was in his 20s, he worked on very hard and took a lot of skills or new tasks that he shouldn't, like, he didn't really want to do, but he took them because they made him more valuable and indispensable 5 years from now. Or now he does coaching, but because of this stuff he's been through, because of his another thing he mentioned, which we'll touch on as well, is lived in experience, he became unique and valuable in that sense. And I'll touch on the lived in experience because I think it's an interesting one too. He was like, telling me as well, never say something you haven't experienced firsthand, especially with content. But because everyone, in his opinion, is trying to be fancy on social media using AI topics, but they all look the same, and they say nothing. What makes you valuable, he was telling me, isn't like the copywriting formulas you're learning online. It's the real practical lived in experience that no one can take from you. Because he was telling me people pay him not for his knowledge, but for the mistakes he made and how he avoided them or fixed them so that they can prevent that. And I think that's the point that, and I kind of resonate with a lot because I think at some point, what makes you become valuable is when you're able to not just be the guy who has knowledge, but is able to bring something new to the table and make the person you're working with stand out. Is able to bring knowledge that maybe is not on Hormozy's social media page, but from your head because you've seen it, you've tested it, and you've lived it. And that
Yeah,
was a pretty interesting one.
yeah, it's a very good one. And that's how you find out. I mean, through finding out what works by testing a few things. And I mean, I can say the same thing for a project we worked on for a big client of us is translating YouTube videos, and that has been a trial and error through the roof. I mean, there's not a lot of people that did it, and it was more a learning of trial and error and seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, and while seeing what works and what doesn't, or by testing things, A/B testing, you test, does this work? Does this work better? Does this sound better? If we do it like this, do we get more conversions or do we get more attention onto that video? These are all things that we made mistakes with, and at the start it was horrible, but then with time, you figure out ways to do it better, faster, and with a better result at the end of the day. And so
Yeah.
these are experiences that you don't find anywhere. That, for example, myself, and I'm nowhere. I'm 21. I'm still very young, and still haven't experienced a lot. But it's one thing that I can relate to or from what you said. Found that very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it is an interesting one, especially when because he added with that one, he also said like everyone has been taught surface level shit from YouTube. What real professionals see, when real professionals see this stuff. He was telling me the story of this guy who was telling him, I can do funnels for you, but he brought him a funnel from YouTube, for Alex Ramoy. So he was like, we know it's bullshit immediately. Like he fired a graphic guy a few weeks because he was not being there and showing up on time. So he was telling me and not just that, sometimes if you're bringing surface level knowledge, like a framework, okay, do you know why that framework works? Or did you understand if it works for this guy? Because it's not a one size fits all. Not every client is the same. Well, you'll get fired fast by anyone who actually knows their stuff because they can tell you don't know what you're talking about. You're just taking stuff, copying it, and that's all you're doing, you know? And he was telling me that this also connects with the value and becoming indispensable because when you know your shit and you're going deeper than just, oh, here's the list of hooks, for example, that you should use in your content. What if you went deeper and you were like, well, actually, when you do your content, it's not just enough to have the list of hooks. Your tone, when you speak, your tone needs to be good, and I'll help you with that. Here's how we can make you more confident on camera. There's a belief behind something that is making you less confident. We're going to help you become more confident by tackling that belief down together. That's when you become more indispensable because you're not just now looking at the surface level, you're looking at it from the root cause. And now you become valuable because you know your shit, you know?
Yeah,
Does
that
that make
makes
sense?
sense.
Yeah.
That makes
I
sense.
just thought this one was super interesting because to me, this one was this was one of those that I thought a lot about because I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. When I think about it, there's a lot of guys, they can be a copywriter like me. But if I'm a copywriter and I also have a skill, like I know how to help you, not just writing your script, but speak in a way that is authentic, while also allowing you to not just do what works for social media, but be yourself, keep your brand voice, then I am more valuable than the guy that's forcing you to change your brand voice or just copy a framework because he doesn't understand or he just is trying to shape shift you to be like everyone else.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I mean, the more you can bring like something like a full package, something like that, and that's why having or experiencing different things and trying different things is what gets you somewhere. Is if you yourself do content as well and you've tried it, you've experienced, and you maybe saw what works and what doesn't with your tone, and then you can help your client improve that specific tone. It's also big value as well. And
Yeah,
yeah, to have those things, and then you have to find out what does the market need exactly, or what do your potential client actually need, because maybe your potential clients don't even struggle with having or with the tone of the video. Maybe your clients are all great speakers, or your potential
mm,
clients are all great speakers, but what they need help with is, I don't know, with camera, because they all don't have a clue how to set up the camera properly so the video looks good. Because
yeah,
even if your script is great, the your client is a great speaker, but the camera looks shit and the audio quality sounds bad, you can have as great as a video and as great as a script or as great as a speaker, that doesn't bring you anywhere. So maybe, and I'm not saying this because it's the way it is, but
so
it might be
yeah,
like that. And you also have to think, and not only think, but also know, or also research and then understand
yeah,
what does your target audience need. Because
well,
otherwise,
yeah,
you have a service that no one needs. That's also kind of useless. It's maybe valuable, but if it's valuable to no one, then I mean, it's not valuable.
yeah. And I think, bro, this is the thing that I just realized while you were speaking. Um, I was looking up a copy guy who's been doing this longer than all the youngsters. And one thing he actually advises people to do is to talk a lot with their clients to understand them more and understand their way of thinking and their brand voice a lot better because he believes that a good copywriter is someone who's not just writing good words, but someone who's writing good words that present the person. You know that when if I write, it's clear there's a difference between Dimitri and there's a difference between Yassin, and I did not force it. I actually took the time to understand how Dimitri speaks, and I just kept the copy stuff, but I added Dimitri's tone into it. And I think not many people are willing to do that. But when you're willing to do what most people are not willing to do, whether it's with research, whether it's with trying to help them beyond what they're asking for, that's how you win. That's how you become indispensable, when you focus on improving your skills even further in communication. So, I'm a copywriter, yes, but I'm trying to also become better at speaking or communicating, sorry, storytelling, because I believe that helps me in the future, will help me in 5 years, maybe 6 years, become even more valuable as a copywriter, as a script writer, you know? And I'm trying to build my brand in a way that's authentic to me, even though I'm failing a lot and learning a lot of stuff, because I believe in a few years that will also be important because maybe I'll meet someone who's just like Yassine. He's overwhelmed. He doesn't know what are the copy stuff that he should apply, but what are the stuff that people are forcing onto him, and he doesn't really need to do them, but order to build a brand that's like feels like he is the one doing it. That's authentic, basically. So yeah, that's
Hmm.
uh, it's another thing.
Yeah, and with what you said at the start, with understanding your clients and talking with them, there's one important thing that I've thought about a few times is I have one big team meeting with the team of one of my biggest clients, and I mean, I'd say 80% of the meeting, or even more than that, 80-90% of the meeting, what is said is not directly something that I necessarily need to know, or that is an information that's directly for me, but to be informed and to have a good situational awareness of what's happening around you is very important. And this is the same thing with pilots,
Mm.
with airplane pilots. For them, it's very important to have very good situational awareness, because if you're in your plane, you want to know what's happening around you. And that's why with pilots, they talk with each other, and it's quite outdated when it sounds like that, because they all talk at each other on a speaking channel that is still analog voice channels, and only one person can speak at a time. Since it's analog, if two people speak together, you cannot really understand it very well. So it's two-way communication, and it sounds very inefficient, and you could make it or digitalize it, but what will go away is the situational awareness. And what I want to say with that is, when the pilots know what's happening around them, they can act if something goes wrong with them or with somebody else for whatever reason. They can handle, or they can act a lot faster and with a lot more information than if they wouldn't know that, or if they wouldn't know what's happening around them. If there's people in front of them that report that there's a big wind change just in front of the runway when they're landing, or if there's, I don't know, rain coming up, or there's a big storm at XYZ and a lot of planes are diverting or landing somewhere else, that's a good situational awareness to have, for them to understand what they will need to do in the future. So it's the same thing in the business. And just to come back from the airplanes back to business, if you have a good situational awareness of what's happening in your client's business, even with other people that are working there, that's really important, because you want to know the health of their business. You want to know what issues they're facing. And I think without having that meeting, I would even make less money, because there's tasks that he needed to be done and problems they had that I said, look, I've done that before already. I can help with that. I can assist with that.
Yeah.
Those are things. If you're not there in that meeting, listening to what's happening, you don't know what problems are going on, and you don't understand the business fully. And the better you understand it, the more value you can then bring in by maybe, thinking of some other ways. But without that information, you don't know what other value you could bring to the table. So I
Yeah,
think situational awareness is something very important, as you said, not only to understand how your clients speak and what their brand voice has to sound like, but also on the perspective of the value you bring to the business and how you can improve that.
that's a very good point actually, because with one of my clients, we also have these meetings, and sometimes it's not just okay, of course it keeps me aware of the situation, but like you said, sometimes I see they have a problem. Like one of my clients is looking for someone who can do logos for them. I don't know how to do it, but I have a friend who we were on a call with yesterday, and he brought that up, and I was like, well, actually, I know this person who might be looking for it, and I told the client about it. So maybe this is not me taking the money directly, but definitely that increases the value and shows that I'm proactive, and that's always important too, you know? And that's something I always try to do with my clients as well, as even the old clients I stopped working with. When I can offer a quick tip to help or suggestion, I do offer it sometimes. Not because I need to, but because I genuinely want them to win as well. Because also, I feel a certain pride when they win. You know, it feels good to see them win and be like, I contributed to that. So, This is also to add to what you said. When you're more aware, you can add more value and you can help more, and then you become more indispensable. But also, it shows you care because when you are are aware of the situation, but you're like, oh, I'm just gonna focus on my part, screw it. That shows you're a careless person. You don't care. But when you're like, let me try and help, that shows you actually care about them winning, and that's always a good thing.
Yeah, and truly caring about it is something very important because people smell it when it's fake. And this is something that that has been mentioned many times in the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's generally care about what's happening in their life or what
Mm.
they're interested in, and same thing there. Generally care about their promise. Generally care about what's happening, and generally try to find a solution. Because at the end of the day, look, the one that pays you, and this is even if you are working in a company in a 9 to 5 and you're an employee and not someone like us that
Master. Yeah.
has their clients. Look, you have to remember that your clients, they pay your salary or they pay you. So if their business is not going well, for instance, or if you treat the clients badly, let's say as an employee you treat your clients badly because you're like, oh, I mean my paycheck is coming anyway, it doesn't matter. Look, they pay your paycheck, or they pay the bills at the end of the day. And so you have to make sure that your client's business is going well. And if they have problem, I mean, assist, whether that makes you directly money directly or not. But if they're not your clients are not successful, you won't be successful either.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree. And I think that's a mindset, unfortunately, that many new people don't have, which is a shame because it's a good mindset to have that help them win, care about them winning genuinely, try your best. And even, bro, one thing that makes you also very valuable is just good human traits. Believe it or not, that's underrated, but it's a true thing. Good character traits, being someone who's dependable, being someone, especially for the young guys, many of them. I heard stories from the entrepreneurs who were like, yeah, unfortunately, I've worked with many young people, and the mistakes they did, it's not just copy mistakes that they did. Most of the time, it's mistakes about the character, like coming late, not showing up to the meeting, saying they can do something overconfidently and charging a lot when they can't do it. And these are just all, if you look at it at the core, just not not traits of strong character.
Yeah, I've been guilty of this myself way too many times, of not doing something or not achieving something that I said I could achieve because I just I just miscalculated completely what I could do, or how fast I could do it, and then I delivered too late, or couldn't deliver, or yeah, just couldn't deliver in time. And this comes with experience as well, to where you can evaluate better how long each tasks take, or how long a video takes. But what I try to do is, if I know I can do it in 24 hours, for example, let's say I can deliver a video, for instance, in 24 hours. I say, look, I can deliver to you in 48 hours. So you have a bit of room to, or yeah, you have a bit of room to play with if something goes wrong. And sometimes things go wrong, and we often as humans underestimate how long something is gonna take. And you get better at it with time, but sometimes you just miscalculate it. So if you have some room to play with, that's gonna help you.
Yeah, I think a good tip you gave me is if you think the task is going to take an hour, schedule it for two. And then if you end up finishing it in an hour and a half or an hour, at least you'll feel better than if you scheduled it for an hour and finished it in 1 hour and a half, or you'll feel a bit like a loser.
Exactly. And it feels great to finish a task
Earlier.
before the end of when you scheduled it. That feels great.
Yeah, yeah. There was another topic we could touch on, but I actually am think maybe this one is it's better for it to have its own episode. Um, I could tell it to you real quick, but I think we can definitely do an episode on that one specifically. But it's the topic about like the YouTube guru problem. So one thing this person told me is a lot of people your age are raised watching YouTube gurus promising instant millions and easy money. But here's the thing, right? Because people think it's easy, or the person saying it's easy for them, it's not easy for the audience. Because half of the time, they're lying or they did achieve it, but they've forgotten what it was like to be you. And he was telling me like the highest money people pay him isn't for the cool stuff he knows, it's for the mistakes he's made and the life he's lived, you know? And but the key point here from this message is just really about the YouTube gurus, how they tell you it's gonna be instant, it's gonna be easy money. I mean, I fell for that when I started with copy, and I was just
Me too.
wanted 2K as soon as I started because that's how it's made in that marketing to get as much people in the game. They make it seem like it's fast, it's easy, it's all about that. It's not always truthful, unfortunately, but that's how they do it. And the problem with that is many people go thinking they're going to be making bank as a 18-year-old or who's just got started. But most of the time, the journey is slow. And it's actually good for you that it's slow because you can't handle it yet. Sometimes, if you got the money fast, maybe you'll waste all of it on stupid shit, you know? So, and maybe just sometimes it's good for you because you're not good enough and you can get yourself in trouble if you scam people. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's the problem with with very young guys that have been successful with crypto, for instance. If they get money fast with not initially doing much, or with people that win big sums of money, it happens very often that 2 or 3 years later they all have no money left because you haven't earned it, or you haven't earned it per se, and so you don't know how to handle it best. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, it could be a topic for a whole episode, I think,
yeah.
that
I
we
think
can
it,
elaborate more.
yeah.
And I think, unless you have something else to say, could be a
No, I
very
was,
good point of closure for topics today before we get to the point of what we are grateful for, as always at the end of every episode.
yeah. No, I was gonna say I think it's great to keep that for another episode where we could touch on the different problems with the gurus, not just in the millionaire space, but just the self-worth space in general. I think that could be a good one for us to talk about.
Yeah,
Um,
tune in on the next episode to
exactly.
see
Don't
if
forget
you
to
wanna.
like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell for that next episode because
Yeah,
we're gonna tackle it down.
and share it with your friends if you know somebody that this could be valuable to.
Yeah, yeah. The thing I hate most is when someone didn't share a good video with me, so don't be that friend.
Don't be that friend. Exactly. Yassine, do you want to start with the 3 things you're grateful for?
Yes, of course. The first thing I'm grateful for is the fact that I'm able to do these great calls with you and podcast episodes, as well as our accountability call, where I get to learn and speak to like-minded people and, reinforce my dedication and discipline. So thank God for that. And then the second thing that I'm grateful for is that I'm able to come to Egypt. It has its challenges, but it's always a good reminder of where you came from. I think it's important to always know where you came from. And it always shows me how blessed we are in Switzerland because some people have it tough here. So thank God for that. And then the final thing, man, is just I'm really grateful for the fact that I'm able to work online, especially these holidays. I mean, it's been a blessing to see how easy it is without you need to just put things in the slot that you won't get the work done and then you can live life. So thank God for that as well.
Yeah, those are 3 great ones. My first one is related to your last one. Is I'm grateful to have this opportunity to work online and to choose a lot better what I can do with my time. It's not that I work less per se, but it's that I can choose a lot better when I do what. I have a bit more flexibility to then be able to, visit friends or um, at times where if I would work in a 9 to 5, I couldn't do that. Next one is very grateful for my family. I have a great family and great friends like you as well that are around me. I have great people around me that all support me and that I can have fun with as well, and that I can have a laugh at if there needs to be, and it never gets boring. And then very grateful for the weather at the moment. That is, it got a bit colder than it was when you when you went to Egypt. Now we're sitting at around 22, 24, 25 degrees, something like that. And this is great, great paddle weather
Yeah.
since it's not too hot. And because when it's 30 plus degrees outside, when you move, it instantly
Yeah.
gets very hot. And to do some exercise, this is the perfect weather to have at the moment. So yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about it. I'm sweating already in here.
You're sweating by doing nothing, and yeah, yeah. No, I know how it is. I know how it is. I mean, when it's 30 degrees even here, it's quite hot, and I know in Egypt it's even hotter, and
Yeah.
the desert doesn't help. Uh, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. But hey, it's good. It's
it's
good.
good. All
All
right, guys.
right, guys. Tell us in the comments below what you are grateful for. It's a very important thing because the more thankful you are, the happier you are.
Okay,
So yeah.
have a good one, guys. Take care.
Bye.